Welcome to Neuroverse, where thought meets emotion and philosophy meets psychology. Tonight, we explore a force that quietly governs our choices, relationships, ambitions, and even our sense of self, fear. Is fear a guardian, alerting us to danger and steering us toward safety? Or is it a prison warden, locking us in a cell made of hesitation and doubt? Fear is a shapeshifter. Sometimes it shouts. Other times, it whispers. But it's always there, shaping what we do, and what we avoid. Today, we ask, what if fear isn't meant to be silenced, but understood? Fear is one of the oldest parts of us. It predates language, culture, even thought. It pulses through our nervous systems like a primal alarm, warning us of danger, triggering our fight-or-flight response. Early humans relied on fear to survive. A rustle in the bushes wasn't just noise, it could be a predator. And so, the fearful survived. They passed on their genes. Fear was adaptive. Necessary. But here's the paradox. What once protected us from lions and cliffs now flares up before job interviews, difficult conversations, and vulnerable moments. Fear hasn't evolved as fast as our world has. And so, it mistakes emotional risk for physical danger. You're about to tell someone you love them, your heart races, your palms sweat. You want to start something new, but your brain says, wait. It's too risky. You feel fear, but there's no threat, only the possibility of change. Fear reacts not only to danger, but to the unfamiliar. And because of this, fear can quietly lead us away from the very things that bring fulfillment. Think about your own life. How many times have you hesitated, not because something was wrong, but because it was unknown? You stayed quiet in a meeting. You didn't apply for that opportunity. You didn't take the trip, end the relationship, start the book, say the truth. Why? Not because it was wrong, but because fear showed up. Fear is convincing. It doesn't scream, you'll fail. It whispers, maybe later. And, what if it goes wrong? And, you're not ready. It speaks in half-truths, dressed as wisdom. But we must ask, is fear protecting me? Or is it preventing me? Philosophers have wrestled with fear for centuries. Kierkegaard wrote of anxiety as, the dizziness of freedom. Jean-Paul Sartre saw fear as a reaction to the weight of choice, because with every decision, we step into the unknown, and we alone are responsible for what we find there. Fear and freedom are entangled. The more freedom we have, the more paths we could take, the more fear creeps in. Not just fear of failure, but fear of making the wrong choice. Fear of regret. Fear of responsibility. This shows up in our everyday decisions. A safe job or a dream project. Stay where you are, or move to a new city. Remain silent, or speak your truth. Fear often votes for the status quo. It favors the path of least resistance. But here's the problem, comfort is not the same as happiness. Familiarity is not the same as growth. And safety is not the same as purpose. When we let fear lead, we trade long-term growth for short-term relief. We avoid discomfort now, but we accumulate regret later. And that's the real cost. So what do we do? First, we redefine fear. Instead of asking, what am I afraid of? Ask, what is fear trying to protect? Sometimes, fear is guarding an old wound, a memory of failure, rejection, or humiliation. Other times, it's trying to preserve your identity, how you see yourself and how others see you. Fear isn't the enemy. It's a signal. One that says, pay attention. It invites us to look inward, to ask questions. And when we do, we often find that fear arises not from what is, but from what might be. It's rooted in imagination, not reality. The Stoics had a practice called premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils. They would visualize the worst-case scenario and prepare for it mentally. What if I fail? What if I'm embarrassed? What if I lose money or status? And once they faced it in thought, they feared it less in life. This is echoed in modern psychology. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches us to examine the beliefs behind our fear, to question them, to challenge their truth. Because often, fear thrives in vagueness. It loses power when it's brought into the light. Let's take an example. Imagine you want to start your own business. Fear says, you'll fail. But when you examine it, you realize, the fear isn't of failure, it's of judgment. Of what others will say if you fail. Or maybe it's about financial instability. Once identified, you can prepare. Create a plan. Set boundaries. And take steps, not in the absence of fear, but alongside it. Remember, courage is not the opposite of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. Courage is moving forward with fear in your pocket, not letting it steer the wheel. Consider Sarah. She had a fear of public speaking so intense that she would avoid meetings, even phone calls. But over time, she chose small steps. One meeting. One speech. One story. Now, she teaches others how to find their voice. Or John, he left a corporate job to open a quiet bookshop in his hometown. Everyone told him it was foolish. He told me, it wasn't that I wasn't afraid. I just realized fear was trying to protect the version of me I had outgrown. Fear doesn't go away. But we get better at walking with it. We also learn to distinguish fear from intuition. Intuition is calm, quiet, focused. Fear is loud, anxious, repetitive. Intuition says, this doesn't feel right. Fear says, you're not enough. One is a compass. The other, a cage. So how do we shift from fear-driven to fear-aware? First, name the fear. Define it. Be specific. Second, feel it. Sit with it. Let it be there without reacting. It's just an emotion. Not a command. Third, act. Take a small step. Speak the truth. Make the call. Write the page. Action shrinks fear. Avoidance feeds it. And finally, reflect. Celebrate the courage it took. Even if the outcome wasn't perfect. Especially if it wasn't. That's where resilience is born. Fear is a paradox. It's both protector and prison. And every day, we choose whether we will let it keep us safe, or keep us stuck. Fear will always be there. The goal is not to eliminate it, but to relate to it differently. To hear it, and then choose from a place of clarity, not compulsion. Because beyond fear is freedom. Beyond doubt is discovery. And beyond resistance, is the life we're meant to live. Thank you for spending this time with us here on Neuroverse. If this episode sparked reflection, share it with someone standing at their own threshold. Subscribe for more explorations into the mind, the self, and everything in between. Until next time, be brave, be curious, and walk boldly through the fog. You just might find yourself on the other side.